Adding some Motley Crue songs into your cover band's live set list is the perfect move for any time you want to see people drink beer and shake some ass. And you know why? That's because Motley Crue is the favorite band of anybody with a beer in their hand and an ass in their pants. But the problem is, if you want to play most of their tunes, you got to bring an extra guitar that's already tuned down a whole step like the band always did, or subject your singer to the ultimate agony of singing those songs in standard tuning. But there's actually a handful of those hair-tastic hits that you can play in standard tuning, and we're going to talk about a couple of them today. Well, hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Now, I know from years of experience with my 80s hair metal tribute band, Skankbanger, that nothing gets people quite so riled up as hearing their favorite Motley Crue songs live. But to play those songs properly, you've got to tune down one whole step, which means bringing an extra guitar, which means bringing a backup for the extra guitar in case the extra guitar goes down, and it's really just a headache that nobody wants to deal with. So we play a handful of their songs in different positions using standard tuning instead. Now the songs like Dr. Feelgood and Girls, Girls, Girls that are a little bit more focused on that low D note that they have on the bottom, we play those actually in just standard drop D tuning instead. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys would like a video on how to play those songs without having to tune your entire guitar down. And you guys know I'm a stickler for playing everything exactly like the records and stuff like that, but gosh darn it, this is just a lot more convenient. And honestly, it's not like anybody in the crowd's gonna know anyway. Unless I'm in the crowd. In which case, I'll thank you for watching this video. So in today's Motley Crue Masterclass, I'm gonna show you guys a handful of the tunes that you can play without having to tune your guitar down. As always, downloadable tabs, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more are available to everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Currently on my Patreon page, I'm hosting a poll to help me determine the best riffs of 1985 for an upcoming video. So if you want to make your voice heard and be a part of making said video, be sure to sign up today and cast your votes. Also as a bonus, I'm putting up the download for this Fractal Audio Axe Effects 3 patch that I'm using today, which is based on a Mesa rectifier. It doesn't really sound like Mick Mars' tone, it just sounds nice. And I like things that are nice. You can snag all kinds of goodies even for just $1 a month, so be sure to sign up today by clicking the link in the video description. Thanks. You're nice. Let's kick this off with the most recent addition to the Skankbanger set list, Looks That Kill. Okay, let's kick this off here at the top of the tune. We're going to be basing this around this low G bass note. I myself am using my thumb to play this note. If you're not a thumbsman yourself, consider becoming one. It's like adding a whole nother finger to your hand, so really useful stuff here. But anyway, I'm just pedaling on this low G bass note. And you can see with my first finger here, I'm making this G power chord happen up top on the G and B strings. There's an F power chord, and then just sliding it down to E. That's your intro and your verse, and at the very end of the verse there they do going down to the E flat chord right there. If your guitar has a kickstand on it, you do those little bar dips, and then right before the chorus starts, I swear there's this really weird voice chord right there on those punches that Mick plays, and it sounds like he's grabbing the 6 on the A, 3 on the D, 3 on the G, but you could just play the E flat and that would sound fine too. Then we get to the chorus riff, which I really like. It sounds like this. So at the top I just got my open D string and that low G note. Then the rest of the way through here I'm going to be playing some dyads on the G and D strings. Creeping up. So you can see you got a double stop right there, and then you go back to that E flat. The break in the middle of the tune here features some chord inversions and suspensions and kind of some odd positions. Check this out. So I'm starting on a standard G power chord, stretching that bass note down here so that it becomes actually an inversion of a D major triad, and then kind of think of this as like F, sus4 to F, just on the G and B strings. That's an F to a C. It's kind of like D sus4 to D. And then lastly, E flat to A flat, and C sus4 to C major. And really about the only other noteworthy thing happening in the rhythm guitar section is before the solo, which kind of builds up on an F chord. Nothing fancy. As for the solo itself, you can play pretty much anything you want to in like G minor pentatonic or the G blues scale, and that'll be fine. Mick doesn't use any open strings in this solo as far as I know. Maybe some bar stuff or something like that, but it's nothing really all that important, honestly, and he usually just kind of improvised a solo live anyway, so keep the tradition alive and do your own thing. Next, let's talk about one of my absolute favorite ones to play in our set list. Really simple tune, same old situation. So whenever we play this song live, I just do the big G holds in the intro and, you know, shake my butt in front of the crowd and stuff like that, while the other guitar player, Andy Wood, plays the descending figure on the G and B strings like this. And then add in the high G, then just open up the G and B strings. But you can do a little bit of guitar yoga and combine the two parts by holding down the G bass note with your middle finger here, which is also going to mute out the A, and then just kind of strumming through to your B string, and keeping the action going on the G and B. For a sound that's more fuller. The first part here is really simple and it just stomps. This is one of those songs that sounds so freaking good live. It's just a big old G power chord, AC/DC style, and a big old D5 power chord happening right here. The pre-chorus of the song here is based around a C that walks down to A chromatically. And you can kind of fancy it up and play it like Mick does by using this little one finger bar on the D, G, and B strings on fret number 5. They're going to have some licks happening here on the A string. Check this out. Let's see that again, more slowly. The chorus of the song is also based around G and D with some hot licks tossed in. Now first we're going to start off here on the G power chord and then play this double stop on the G and D strings. Then when we go to the D, we're going to play this little bluesy figure. Again, just walking up and down the G string like that while I keep the D note held down with my second finger. Turn around at the end of the chorus is based around that same C, walking down to A figure that we played earlier. Now you can just play power chords like what I just did, especially if you're singing the backup vocals or whatever and want to keep the guitar part a little bit more simple. But if you got two guitars or something like that, one of you can take the higher lead part that he plays, which is something like this. Again, we're going to be using that one finger bar here on the 5th fret, D, G, and B strings for our C chord. And we're going to play some extensions on that using the B string right here. Then the same idea, move down to A. And other than the guitar solo, which once again is based around the G blues scale, just improvise and do your own thing with it, that's the entire song. Super simple, easy to play tune, always gets the crowd super pumped up. Definitely worth learning that one. Easy peasy, Tommy Leezy. Up next, let's take a look at another Crue classic that is sure to please and make that crowd shout. But shout at who? El Diablo. That's right, they're gonna shout at who? The devil. This is yet another tune that's based around G, and we're going to be using the thumb a lot. Like I said earlier, if you're not used to using your thumb when you play, I recommend getting used to it. After all, this is the thing that separates us from the animals. This is what put us on top of the food chain, y'all. You might as well be appreciative and use it a little bit. In the main riff of the song here, we're going to get that thumb over the neck and play that low G bass note and play some little double stops on the G and D strings. Next evolution of the riff is based on the same stuff. So it's just going back and forth between the 3rd and 5th dyads right there. And then you have that lick at the end of the riff. It sounds like this. So single notes go into double stops. And of course, you gotta play those iconic unison screechy Hendrix bends there at the intro too. All these are gonna take place on the B string, which is gonna stay totally stock still, and we're gonna be grabbing the G string and bending it up until they're pretty much in tune. And then I'm just gonna do some juicy vibrats and shake that G a little bit. It goes B flat, A, down to G. Then you're gonna go B flat, up to C, back down to G. First part of the song is going to jump up here to a C power chord. You could play it in this position if you wanted to. I just play it up here just to keep it all on one string set. You're going to go from C to B flat to G, back to B flat, C, B flat, and G. At the end of the verse before the chorus, there's this little turnaround that sounds like this. So it's all the same chords as before, and then a B flat power chord, played one note at a time, and then this right here, which is like 5, 8, 7. That's an inversion of an F major triad right there. Then you're into the chorus, which is just like the main riff of the song. After the second chorus of the song, we get to the bridge, which is based around that big old low D. But we can kind of fake it right here, especially if your bass player is playing that big low D note, like high up on the neck, or if he's in drop D tuning. It'll sound nice and fat like this. So I'm playing a big open position D5 power chord. I'm going to be sure to include the open A string in there. Again, hit that with some palm muting, and it sounds really fat, especially with your bass player playing below you like that. And then the run is going to go like this. So I'm walking up the D minor scale right there, and then 2 notes on the A string right here, C and B flat. At the end of the bridge section, they replace that hot lick with 2 little power chords walking back up to G. You're just going to play F and F sharp. And that's right before you go straight back into the verse. And the outro of this song is just like the main riff. You're just going to add in kind of a galloping rhythm on that low G note. And the last one that I want to talk about with you guys here is their cover of Smokin' in the Boys' Room. A lot of people think Motley Crue did this song originally. They did not. Check out the original version. It's really cool. I actually love all of Motley Crue's covers. There's that awesome cover of like Jailhouse Rock that they did and stuff that's super fun. I thought their covers were really well chosen and they kind of made them their own. This one's just like that. Really easy to play tune. It's also centered around D. It's kind of a blues in D. But we don't ever need that big low D power chords. We can play it all pretty simply. Here's the intro. Again, really simple, just sliding there from the C sharp into the D power chords. Now, whenever the verse starts, we're going to play that same idea and then move from an A to a B flat. And then to get to the chorus, G, we're just going to walk down chromatically here. Now you can see as soon as I started the chorus there, I was just playing a simple G blues kind of shuffle pattern. Move that up to a D. Then you got your turnaround going to the 5 chord here, which ironically is on fret number 5, and A. Back to G. A, G, then back to the intro. So your chorus is So whenever I play live with Skankbanger, I tend to wear the guitar down really low to try to make myself look more coolier. It mostly works, but it does make playing these parts that feature big stretchy chords really tough. Don't even get me started on how we play some of the Rat tunes and stuff that feature some really stretchy chords. That's not fun at all. So if I'm having a night where, you know, my hands are getting kind of tired or something and I don't feel like doing those big stretches, sometimes I'll play them all in the open position in the chorus like this. So there for the G blues, I'm just using that low G note. I'm muting out the A. And on the D string here, I'm going from open to second, like that. The D blues I can play right here in the open position. Then I go to A, G, A, G, back to your D. Solo section of the tune is really fun if you got 2 guitar players in the band and you can kind of, you know, swap licks and stuff. Or if you got a harmonica player, that's cool too. And it's based around a lot of that same bluesy stuff. You got a G, D, G, and an A. At the end of the solo section, there's also a really cool, kind of jazzy, actually, 2-5 that happens right there. You're going to the 2 chord, which is E, to the 5 chord A, then back to the 1 chord D. It's kind of a jazzy move. If you're soloing against that, you know, if you've been using like the G or D blues scale or whatever through the whole solo, which works, you know, that's mostly what Mick and the harmonica parts are doing. Whenever it reaches that part where it goes to E, neither of those scales is going to work. It doesn't sound cool at all. You could go to an E blues scale, E pentatonic thing would be fine, or play something that's like very E dominant sounding. You know, some redneck stuff or something like that if you want to. And then the same idea over the A. Like, it doesn't sound cool just to play that G blues scale over all those. There's too many notes that clash. So if you're soloing there at the end of that progression there and it reaches that E to A thing, just be sure to acknowledge that and play over them as if you were playing over an E blues, an A blues, rather than keeping in that G blues mindset or D blues, whatever. Only other noteworthy thing you gotta have in this tune to make it sound right is that outro, which sounds like this. Again, just a nice little bluesy walk down there. Starting off on D, to B, to A. Hit the F note down here and give it a bend. You could also do an open E with a bend behind the note if you want to. And land on a big open D power chord. There you go, guys. 4 Crue classics that are sure to keep the beer a-flowing and the butts a-shaking. Add these into your band's set list, and I guarantee you're gonna have a good time. I'm sure that there's other Crue tunes that you can play in standard, like Home Sweet Home and stuff too. You can also do a pretty decent job recreating Kickstart My Heart. That's one of those that you can kind of BS your way around a little bit, because it does use that open low D string a bit in that song, but again, nobody in the crowd is really gonna notice. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys would like to see some lessons on those other Crue tunes in standard tuning, or how you can play Girls, 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 or Dr. Feelgood, or any of those other tunes that really wallop that low D note a lot in drop D tuning, just to make your live set a little bit less of a hassle. Thank you guys so much for liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Be sure to ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. If you like what you saw in this video and want to gain access to a ton more cool stuff, as well as a community of awesome people like yourself, consider supporting my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Just click the link in the video description and start your musical educationament today. That's like education and entertainment, like combined. Educationament. It's a word. Thanks as always for watching, but now it's time for you to go play some guitar. Less clicking, more picking.